Welcome to Animal Wonders. Today we're going to meet some of our amazing animal ambassadors. We're going to learn about their group. We're going to talk about why it's confusing sometimes to classify animals, and we're going to talk a little bit about the terms we use. So what do you think of when you hear the word conure? If you thought loud, you are so right. But if you didn't even hear the word before, you're me 10 years ago. This is a conure, a green-cheeked conure to be exact, or you could call her a green-cheeked parakeet. I just call her Ginger. And this is where the complication of classifying starts. The word conure is both an old term and a new term. It's an old, out-of-date classification for a genus of parrot-like New World birds, and it was called conurus. New World just means the Americas. Now, the previous genus conurus included some present-day genera that has now been broken apart into more specific groups. Today the term is used mostly in aviculture, which is the keeping and breeding of birds in captivity. And I use the term because that's how I was first introduced to my many Central and South American citizen friends. But it also helps me explain the difference in the groups. So I'd heard of parrots and parakeets before, but what the heck was a conure? This is a conure. This is a Gende conure or a Gende parakeet. Both terms are correct. I call her Ecuador. Now, Gende conures are closely related to sun conures, and they're very popular in the pet trade, but they are very, very vocal. Oh! I soon discovered these birds were one of the most neglected and rehomed groups in the animal rescue world. The more I learned about the individual personalities of the birds that I got to rescue, my fascination with these overly exploited and underappreciated group of birds grew. And the more I tried to define what a conure was, the more complicated it seemed to get. So most people that see a bird with a curved beak, you can do it. Oh, and bright feathers say, that's a parrot, and they're correct. So here's how it goes. All parrot-like birds belong to the order Psittaciformes, but then there are families that break them down into smaller groups. The three main families are Psitticidae, Psittaculuidae, and Cockatuidae. The family Psitticidae includes birds like macaws and parrots and conures and parakeets. The family Psittaculuidae includes birds like lovebirds and lories and other old world parrots. And then the family Cockatuidae includes cockatoos and cockatiels and others. So what makes a conure different from a parrot? Well, they're not really different. They're just more specific. So this is a parrot. This is Zoe. She's a red lord Amazon parrot. And you can look at her and you can see that she has a very heavy body. And her tail is very squared at the bottom. Would you like another treat? No. Okay. But then when you look at Lulu, the half-moon conure, you can see that he has more slender body and his tail is tapered or cone-shaped. And you can see a big difference, not just their size, but the shape of their body. So if you look at Lulu and Ecuador and ignore the coloration on their feathers, just look at the characteristics on their body. Both of them have a hooked bill, curved in a very similar way. They have long tapered tails, which are about the same length as their body. They have short feet, and their toe arrangement is zygodactyl, which is 2 toes in the front and 2 toes in the back. And if you look up at their eyes, they both have a bare patch surrounding their eye. So the group of conures are made up of quite a few different genera. The main two are Payura and Aratinga. These two are both in the Aratinga genus, and Aratinga means mini macaw. Speaking of, this is a macaw. This is Joy, and she's a blue and gold macaw. Are you too excited? Now you can see she's much larger than Lulu in Ecuador, but she has similar characteristics in her body. You can see that she has almost a slender body and this long tapered tail. That's pretty much the same length as her body. So we've met 3 conures, a parrot, and now a macaw. But what's the difference between a parakeet and a conure? Well, this is a parakeet. His name is Zapper. He's an Alexandrian parakeet or Alexandrian parrot. He can't be considered a conure, even though he has the long tapered tail and the slender body of a conure. He is found in India, Thailand, and Afghanistan and surrounding areas, so he's considered an old world parrot instead of a new world parrot. He's also part of the family Psittaculuidae instead of Psitticidae. So let's meet another conure. This is Maui, and she's a color morph of the green-cheeked conure. She's referred to as a pineapple green-cheeked conure. Note her long, slender tail. and cone-shaped like that, so she belongs to the parakeet group, but she also lives in the New World, so she can be defined as a conure. So let's really classify her. Her order is Psittaciformes, her family is Psittacidae, and then her genus is Payura, as opposed to Aratinga, which was Lulu and Ecuador, the other one. Now let's make things even more fun. This is a parrotlet, a Pacific parrotlet named Sprinkles, and he is a parrot, but not a parakeet. Notice his heavy body set, and his tail, when spread out, is going to look like a square, very similar to our Amazon parrot Zoe. And lastly, we have Boxer, the peach-faced lovebird. He's not a conure, and he's not a parakeet. He looks very similar to Sprinkles the parrotlet, but he is an old world parrot, very small little parrot, but he does not belong to the family Psittacidae like Sprinkles does, but he belongs to the family Psittaculidae like Zapper or Alexandrian parakeet. But unlike Zapper, he's not a parakeet. He is a small parrot with a heavy body and a squared tail. All right, guys, so to wrap this up, all conures are parrots, but not all parrots are conures. All conures are parakeets, but not all parakeets are conures. And all parakeets are parrots, but not all parrots are parakeets. Make sense? If you have any questions about all that or anything else, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. You can find all about Animal Wonders on our website. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us on an adventure every week. Hey guys, we had so many questions. Hi guys, welcome back to Animal Wonders. I'm Jessie, this is Taylor, and she used to work at a wildlife rehabilitation center. She would like to share some information about baby animals with you.
Spring is in full bloom here at Animal Wonders, and that means it is baby season. It's really common this time of year when you're outside, either on a hike or just in your backyard, to find an orphaned or abandoned baby animal. When you find these animals, it might be your first instinct to run out and to want to help them. This could be taking them into an animal center, or it could be bringing them into your home. However, this could do more harm than good. So today I'm going to tell you what to do if you find a baby bird. The first thing you want to do is to find out whether the baby is a nestling or a fledgling. Nestlings are baby birds that only have a few feathers and they're still completely dependent on their parents. Also, they're not able to balance very well yet. Fledglings, on the other hand, are almost completely feathered. The only things they still have to grow in are their wing feathers and some of their tail feathers. Also, fledglings are going to be fully alert and active. This means that they can start learning to fly. This difference will determine the type of help that the baby might need. If the baby that you found is a nestling and it's on the ground, this most likely means that it was either pushed or knocked out of its nest. Therefore, the best thing that you can do for it is to scoop it up and put it back in its nest. If the nest is too high or it was knocked down, then you can place the baby in a small box or container and put that up in the same tree that it fell from. Some people are afraid to scoop up a baby bird because they think the mother will smell their scent and abandon them. However, that is a myth. Most birds don't have a very good sense of smell, and they locate their babies using other senses. Once you have put the baby back up into the tree or back into its nest, it's important that you leave the area and make sure that you keep your pets inside. The parents will be watching for predators, so once they see that you've left the area, then they'll feel comfortable and they'll go back to their babies. Now, if you find a fledgling on the ground, they probably jumped from their nest, so the best thing you can do is to leave them alone. Fledglings are learning to forage and to avoid predators, so if you put them back up into a nest, they're likely to jump right back out and they could hurt themselves on the fall. You may not see the parents, but that's because they have to split their time amongst all their babies, and all their fledglings could have scattered in different directions. If the fledgling is too exposed, meaning in the middle of your yard or away from foliage, then scoop them up and tuck them under a bush or into a safe spot. Once you've done that, it's important to leave the area and again make sure that you keep all your pets inside. Regardless of the age of the baby bird, don't attempt to feed them on your own. Each species has a very specific diet, and it's easy to get it wrong, so the best care they can receive is from their mother. However, if the baby bird is injured or you're certain the parents are gone or dead, then you can contact your local wildlife rehabilitator and ask them for further help. Wildlife rehabilitators are knowledgeable and dedicated, and they'll do everything they can to help an animal. However, sometimes the best option is to let nature take its course. Just as a reminder, Animal Wonders is not a rehabilitation center, so if you find yourself in this situation, make sure to call your local wildlife rehabilitation center. If you would like to help us continue to make educational videos like this one, visit us at patreon.com/animalwonders. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
This is the tale of two ancient cities and the trees that determined their destinies. In 3000 BC, Uruk was more densely populated than modern-day New York City. This crowded capital had to continually expand their irrigation system to feed its growing population. 2,500 years later, in Sri Lanka, the city of Anuradhapura had a similar problem. They were also growing constantly, and like Uruk, their city relied heavily on an elaborate irrigation system. As Uruk grew, its farmers began chopping down trees to make space for more crops. In Anuradhapura, however, trees were sacred. Their city housed an offshoot of the Bodhi tree, under which Buddha himself was said to have attained enlightenment. Religious reverence slowed farmers' axes and even led the city to plant additional trees in urban parks. Initially, Uruk's expansion worked well, but without trees to filter their water supply, Uruk's irrigation system became contaminated. Evaporating water left mineral deposits, which rendered the soil too salty for agriculture. Conversely, Anuradhapura's irrigation system was designed to work in concert with the surrounding forest. Their city eventually grew to more than twice Uruk's population, and today, Anuradhapura still cares for a tree planted over 2,000 years ago. We may think of nature as being unconnected to our urban spaces, but trees have always been an essential part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides, while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Roots help prevent floods, while reducing the need for storm drains and water treatment plants. Their porous leaves purify the air by trapping carbon and other pollutants, making them essential in the fight against climate change. Humanity has been uncovering these arboreal benefits for centuries, but trees aren't just crucial to the health of a city's infrastructure. They play a vital role in the health of its citizens as well. In the 1870s, Manhattan had few trees outside the island's parks. Without trees to provide shade, buildings absorbed up to 9 times more solar radiation during deadly summer heat waves. Combined with the period's poor sanitation standards, the oppressive heat made the city a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera. In modern-day Hong Kong, tall skyscrapers and underground infrastructure make it difficult for trees to grow. This contributes to the city's dangerously poor air quality, which can cause bronchitis and diminished lung function. Trees affect our mental health as well. Research indicates that the presence of green foliage increases attention spans and decreases stress levels. It's even been shown that hospital patients with views of brick walls recover more slowly than those with views of trees. Fortunately, many cities are full of views like this, and that's no accident. As early as the 18th century, city planners began to embrace the importance of urban trees. In 1733, Colonel James Oglethorpe planned the city of Savannah, Georgia, to ensure that no neighborhood was more than a 2-minute walk from a park. After World War II, Copenhagen directed all new development along 5 arteries, each sandwiched between a park. This layout increased the city's resilience to pollution and natural disasters. And urban trees don't just benefit people. Portland's Forest Park preserves the region's natural biodiversity, making the city home to various local plants, 112 bird species, and 62 species of mammals. No city is more committed to trees than Singapore. Since 1967, Singapore's government has planted over 1.2 million trees, including those within 50-meter-tall vertical gardens called super trees. These structures sustain themselves and nearby conservatories with solar energy and collected rainwater. Trees and vegetation currently cover over 50% of Singapore's landmass, reducing the need for air conditioning and encouraging low-pollution transportation. By 2050, it's estimated that over 65% of the